You are You are tuning in to the You Are Loved podcast, where we hope to bring love and kindness to the world.
Welcome to another You Are Loved podcast. We have Miss Heather Hundhausen. Is that correct, Heather?
Yes.
Is a somatic coach, craniosacral therapist, and relationship educator who works with high-functioning adults struggling with emotional overwhelm, codependency, attachment wounds, nervous system dysregulation, and painful relationship patterns they cannot think their way out of. With over 15 years of experience in bodywork, emotional processing, and relational dynamics, Heather bridges the gap between psychology and the body, helping people understand why insight alone often isn't enough to create lasting change. Her work focuses on how unresolved emotional patterns show up through relationships, overthinking, people-pleasing, emotional shutdown, chronic stress, and physical tension in the body. Drawing from somatic work, attachment psychology, craniosacral therapy, and deep relational coaching, she helps clients reconnect with themselves in a way that feels emotionally honest, embodied, and sustainable. Heather is known for her direct, insightful, and emotionally grounded approach, blending psychological depth with real-world practicality, humor, and authenticity. Through her coaching, working workshops, and online content, she helps people stop performing connection and start experiencing real intimacy, self-trust, and emotional boredom. Welcome, Heather. Thank you for joining the podcast today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Sure, no problem. So, what would you probably say is like the hidden cost of being high functioning? Like many people listening appear successful on the outside, but feel overwhelmed internally. Why do high functioning individuals often struggle to recognize their own emotional distress?
Wow, what a big question. Why do high functioning individuals fail to recognize their own sense of trust? Is that what you asked me?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Well, I like to look at patterns. And one thing that I've noticed over the many years of doing this is that people who tend to be high functioning tend to have shut off their somatic awareness. So they're not feeling their feelings. They're not feeling their body. They're operating out of their mind, out of their logic, out of structure, out of this is the right thing to do, so I'm going to do the right thing. And they aren't necessarily listening anymore to what the body is telling them. They aren't feeling their feelings. They're not following their intuition. They're doing what they think is the right thing to do according to their mind, according to their brain. And so we end up in these situations where your mind is doing these calculations, 2 + 2 is 4, but your body is screaming at you, hey, this guy is a red flag, but you're not necessarily listening to the body telling you that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So kind of they're not in sync with each other, in tune.
Yeah, the body and the mind. Exactly. That's generally what's happening.
Okay. So like in the past, I was probably more of a people pleaser before I learned how to institute boundaries into my life. And so people pleasing is often praised as being kind or selfless. I don't think so. I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice. But in your experience, what's really happening beneath the surface when someone constantly prioritizes others over themselves?
Well, so people pleasing is it's a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
So we learn in childhood those people need to be taken care of. And, whoever those people are, maybe it's your mother, your father, your grandparents, your teachers, the people that you have religion with, whoever it is who is your primary caretaker. We realize that if they're not okay, then I'm not okay. And oftentimes the people-pleasing pattern comes from being in relationship with adults who aren't okay. So if your primary caretaker is a drama queen or always stressed out or an alcoholic or addicted to medication or has chronic pain or is sick or ill, then that person needs a lot of support and a lot of help. And the world focus surrounds around that adult. So as a child, you realize the only way I'm going to get taken care of is if I take care of this adult.
Mm.
And the pattern forms that I put myself last and I put the adult first. Because if I can manipulate myself into whatever that adult needs, then I'm going to get my needs taken care of. The
Mhm.
problem is that eventually we graduate out of that house and now we're looking for partners, and we pick partners who are familiar, root word being family. And they remind us of these primary caretakers who maybe were selfish or addicted or had body pain or whatever it was. And we get into this relationship with this person and we think, if I take care of you, then that means I'm going to be taken care of. But that's not necessarily true. Oftentimes people pleasers get in relationships with people who are pretty selfish, and they're doing, their selfish behavior. And then the people pleaser's like, well, I do all of this for you, but you're not doing anything for me. And really what's happening on an even deeper level is they're actually the people pleaser, the codependent, is doing the emotional regulation for both partners in the relationship. So instead of just taking care of me and my emotional state, now I'm also trying to take care of you and your emotional state, which is actually pretty controlling. But the people pleaser doesn't see that as controlling. They see it as being nice, because they see it as, I'm taking care of you. But unconsciously, if I take care of you, then you're going to take care of me. That is not what happens. Most people, when you take care of them, they just say thank you. They don't think that there's an exchange of energy.
Yeah. And when we do take care of someone, it shouldn't be based off of an exchange in energy. It should be based off of just the fact that you want to do something kind for somebody.
Well, yes and no. I agree with what you're saying, but the reality is that every interaction that we're having is an exchange of energy, generally like a power exchange or a love exchange. Yeah. And we are always looking for, what am I getting from you? What are you getting from me? What am I getting from you? It's altruistic to think, oh, I'm just doing this because I want to be nice. But there's always some selfish reason that we're doing these things. And that's what we're looking at in coaching is, what really is your intention for, you want to give that person a gift? Well, why? What's the gift really about for you? What are you hoping to get in exchange? And we're always looking to get something in exchange.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes it's very on the table and people are very clear about the exchange. Like, I'm going to coach you and you're going to pay me, and that's the exchange. But sometimes it's a little more fuzzy in interpersonal relationships. And I think, maybe a man thinks, so if I pay for your dinner, then you're going to have sex with me. Or a woman thinks, well, if I do these nice things for you, then you're going to take care of me. That's not necessarily always the case, especially if it's not verbally communicated.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking of like instances in my own head.
I'm like, oh, you're relating to this. I can tell you're relating.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely aspects of my life where even now where I do people please, I date emotionally unavailable men because I'm emotionally unavailable, because my dad was emotionally unavailable. My mom was an alcoholic.
Exactly.
So it's like, I've done a lot of therapy and stuff like that to work through a lot of that and create healthier boundaries and so forth. But there's still certain, patterns that we still fall into. And then I just emotionally shut everything off and then just focus on work. So.
Just like your parents. And then you become a high functioning person who's shut off from your body. And I mean, it's exactly, you're my client.
Yeah. So like, how do you get to a point where like you have self-trust and emotional freedom? So like you help people develop self-trust. So what does genuine self-trust look like? And why do so many people struggle to trust themselves even when they have good intuition?
Wow, your questions are so big and so deep. Can we take them one at a time? So how do we form self-trust? Oof, that's a big question. I think that this is a very human question. I think almost every human on earth is asking, how do I trust myself and how do I trust others? When we come from environments like yours and mine, where there's alcoholism or there's a selfish person or there's somebody who's emotionally unavailable, we get a very skewed sense of what trust is. now also, how are we defining trust? I recently did like a little personal research. I asked like a bunch of different people, what does trust mean to you? And what's really interesting is that for some people, it kind of ended up in two categories. For some people, what trust means is I trust that you're going to show up the way that you have always showed up. So it's like, I can trust that my alcoholic parent is going to be an alcoholic. The other definition of trust is I trust that you're going to take care of me. I can trust you that if I give a part of myself to you, that you're not going to hurt me. Mm-hmm. So there's two different definitions of trust. So I think it also depends on what definition are we working with. I think generally when you're asking a question like this, we're working with the question of like, am I taken care of? Not am I being consistent? Mm-hmm. So because most of us, like because of our patterns, we get into very consistent behaviors. We like to drive the same way home. We like to go to the same grocery store. We like to eat the same foods. We become very consistent. And that is something that other people can trust. I trust that you're going to go to this grocery store and you're going to eat Mediterranean food and you're et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as can I trust that you're going to take care of me? This is a sticky topic. And the reality is no. Like you can't trust that anyone is going to take care of you. We can look over here at trust and say that traditionally, I can trust that you've been consistent like this. And if you have consistently taken care of me, I can probably expect you to take care of me, but it's not guaranteed. Everything in life is change.
It's not guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything, change is the only constant. So when we come back over here to the kind of trust where it's like, am I taken care of? The only person who's really, really going to be capable of taking care of you is you. That's it.
Right.
So if I can learn how to love myself, take care of myself, regulate my own emotional system, get quiet enough to hear what my internal knowledge is telling me, get quiet enough to hear what my emotional system is telling me, be able to differentiate the difference between what society is telling me who I should be and who I really feel like I am on the inside. That's the one people come to me and they're like, their first coaching session is like, I'm confused. And I always tell them, no, you think you're confused, but what's happening is there's who I authentically am and who my culture or society expects me or wants me to be. And those two things are in conflict. And so then also trust becomes, well, can I trust myself to be my authentic self, even in the face of the external environment that's asking me to be something other than what I am? One of my very favorite clients, two of my very favorite clients, ended up being a dominatrix, and the other one ended up being a tantra facilitator. And they one was in the Jehovah's Witness and the other one was Mormon. So this is an extreme example of who I am authentically versus who my culture expects me to be. Try to be somebody who wants to be a tantra facilitator and be a Jehovah's Witness. It's almost impossible. So, the trust comes from, can I trust myself to take care of myself in the world, even though my experience has been with an alcoholic parent or an emotionally unavailable parent or a sick parent or the Jehovah's Witnesses that are going to throw me out if I become a dominatrix or et cetera. Right. So it becomes about, can I trust myself to take care of myself, to listen to my truth, even in a world, listen, in the world, there's lots of possibilities. You don't have to be a Jehovah's Witness. If you really want to be a tantra facilitator, you can leave the church and become a tantra facilitator if that's what your calling is. But a lot of times people don't realize that they can do that. It feels like your whole entire life, you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose, money. You're going to lose status. You're going to lose your family, your relationships. Exactly. But the reality is that the world is very, very big, and whoever you are is going to absolutely belong somewhere. You just get to figure out where that is.
Okay. That's great.
A long answer to your short question, but then you have more of a question. So do you want to get into the rest of the question? I feel like that question was really big.
Yeah. So why do you feel like so many people struggle to trust themselves even when they have good intuition?
Oh, well, I think it comes back to what I was just talking about, because culturally or socially in society, there's I trust myself, but then there's, for instance, like my boyfriend likes to play golf and I don't like to play golf. But if I wanted to be a people pleaser and if I didn't trust myself, and if who I am depended on who he wants me to be, then I would go play golf.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many times that happens in relationships where it's like, well, I'm afraid that he's going to leave me if I don't do what he wants. Right. So then I'm going to go play golf and I'm going to suffer through golf and I hate golf and I don't want to play golf. But, can I find a compromise? Sure. Can I ride along in the golf cart and enjoy nature? Absolutely. Heather loves that. Does Heather want to play golf? Absolutely not. I don't want to hit a ball and then go try to find it. But why do we not trust ourselves in relationship like that? Because we're afraid that we're going to get kicked out of culture. We're afraid that we're going to get kicked out of the relationship. We're afraid that we're going to get abandoned.
Yes.
I tell my clients that there's two truths. Well, really there's four, but there's two things we're super scared of: dying and being left. And the reality,
rejection, stuff like that.
The reality of life is every single relationship you have will end. Either you'll die, I'll die, you'll leave, or I'll leave.
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrifying for most people. And we try
especially for control freaks like myself. So
yeah, it's not even a control freak. It's actually a survival mechanism, because without others, we can't survive. And there's a very deep physiological need to be connected to others. But what happens with a lot of people is you are raised in an environment where it's really not safe. And so you learn, I don't ever want to do that again. Like the way I describe it is like little kids are like, Mommy, I want to hug you. They're like looking for a hug. And then mommy's like, hey, fuck you. I'm drunk, or I'm busy, or I'm doing my bills, or I have a boyfriend on the side that nobody knows about, or whatever it is that the parent is doing. And then the little kid's like, I didn't get my hug. And then somewhere inside of you, you think, you know what? I'm never going to go for a hug again because it hurts too much when I get rejected.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do this thing where we block ourselves, we shut ourselves down, we block ourselves off, and we say, I'm never going to love anybody again because it's just too impossible. But the reality is, on a deep physiological level, we need each other to survive. Like, the people bringing you the food at the grocery store, like you need them because you need to eat the food. So there's a conundrum that happens where it's like, in order to keep myself safe and protected, I don't want to be in a relationship with others. But at the same time, we need others to survive. And so I think that this trust issue comes back to, can I trust myself to be in relationship with people who are accountable and people who are caring?
Right.
And in people who can negotiate effectively. And if I'm in a relationship with somebody who is going to abandon me, I can trust on this side of trust. I can trust that they're going to abandon me. And then I'm going to trust myself not to be in a relationship with that because I know that hurts me.
Yeah. Yeah. So why do you think like we stay in like unhealthy relationships? There's so many intelligent, capable people stay in relationships that don't serve them. So why do you think leaving or setting boundaries often is so much harder than people expect? I know it's hard for me sometimes. So
yeah. What do you find is hard?
I find that is like that little bit of hope or whatever. That stuff, that there'll be that additional connection, that dopamine hit of that connection.
Yeah, that's absolutely the answer. So it's neurochemicals, and then it's also this addiction. And really, even the arguing and stuff becomes an addiction. And when it goes away, when it's like done, and you're in your house and you're all alone, there's nobody to argue with. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because you're so used to somebody being there, somebody replying to your text, somebody arguing with you, whatever it is, like that's toxic. We actually get very addicted to it. And when it's gone, we actually go through withdrawals the same way that we go through withdrawals, like when we quit caffeine or quit drugs or, quit anything that's addictive.
Yeah.
And people have a very hard time with withdrawals. Like all humans have that's why we stay addicted to things. And then the other piece that you touched on, which is absolutely the truth. I'm actually working with somebody right now who just had a big breakup. The hope that they can be what you want, actually two clients yesterday, this was about this, the hope that they can be who you want them to be. I have this one client, she's been dating this guy for 4 years and she's still hoping he can be what she wants him to be. And I'm sitting in my chair going like, we've been trying this for 4 years. And she keeps saying, well, maybe if I communicate differently, maybe if he understood, maybe if I could say it the right way. To. And she's trying all to say it all the right ways. And he doesn't communicate the same way that she does. And he's not willing to do the work that she's willing to do. But she's hoping. And that hope is a killer. And I tell women, particularly women, I don't know if your audience is women, but I particularly tell women, don't listen to what men say. Only pay attention to what men do. Because they can say all kinds of nice things. And men have learned that once you get through the luteal phase and you get into the ovulation cycle, you're going to basically just become an idiot and do whatever he wants as long as when men kiss women, they put the testosterone in their mouth, and I call it testosterone poisoning because you literally become stupid for 48 hours. You will literally do whatever that man wants because you have his testosterone in your body. And if that's happening during ovulation, forget about it. You almost can't control your own self. So that's why those 2 or 3 days before you get your period, I call them the days of reckoning, because the hormonal system is at like a zero base and you can actually think straight. And those are the greatest days, in my opinion, especially like if you wanted to do coaching, you want to do coaching on those days, because those days you're the most clear. There's the most clarity. So there is this whole hormonal piece also that's happening in relationships, especially between men and women. I mean, it also happens with same-sex relationships, just it's a different kind of chemistry. So let's see, what was your original question?
It was in regards to how we stay, like why
we stay, right, because it's addictive.
Yeah.
Yes, and then the very, very worst is when your partner leaves you for someone else. The comparison loops that begin when your partner leaves you for someone else is one of the most painful grieving cycles I think there is, other than maybe like losing someone you love to suicide. Like when you lose a partner and you get replaced by someone else, the addiction cycle that happens with comparison it's almost impossible to stop. It is such a hard grieving process. Yeah. So it's very, very addictive. So many chemicals are being released. And then what's happening is all of that stuff from childhood about I'm not good enough, I'm too much, nobody wants me. All that stuff comes to the surface when your partner leaves you for someone else and you start doing all that comparison. All of that I'm not enough or I'm too much stuff ends up coming up.
Yeah.
It's a great point to hire somebody.
I'd rather they just leave and never talk to me again. Don't keep popping up because they want that dopamine hit too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Like, just leave me alone.
Yeah, I actually wrote a blog on like when it's healthy to block somebody and when it's not healthy to block somebody. So when you're remembering how to regulate your own nervous system, it's okay to block somebody because you're taking care of yourself. And when you're at the point where you feel like you can manage yourself, even if they show up, you don't need to have them blocked anymore. But it's really, I would use blocking more as like, I'm taking care of myself, not as, hey, asshole, you don't have access to me anymore.
Right.
It's really more like I'm doing my work on the inside and you're distracting me from my work.
Right.
Yeah.
So, no, that makes total sense. So, if someone wanted to like hire you or like get connected with you,
Yeah.
what are the best ways they can make that happen?
I think you see my name. Can they see my name right there?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So that's my name, HeatherHundhausen.com. It has absolutely everything. It has all the ways you can connect with me on social media. It has my blog. All of my blogs go to my YouTube channel. I try to release a video a week talking about this stuff, different patterns. But the reality is that you can learn this stuff mentally, but what we're really trying to do is learn this stuff experientially, learn this stuff somatically, have an experience of what do I do when I'm learning how to trust myself. Because Jacqueline, you and I can sit here and talk about this all day long, and it will make sense to especially high achievers because they're extremely intelligent. But it isn't until we drop down in the body that change actually starts to be made. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of information on my website. You're welcome
And there-
to it. It's all free.
Yeah, definitely check it out because there's a lot of fear in dealing with all those emotions. It's like you haven't dealt with them for so long.
Well, what I like to say to my clients is, we're going to go to hell, but I've been there hundreds of times, and I'm going to hold your hand in there, and you're not going to get lost, and I'm going to bring you back out when we're done. And so don't worry, somebody's going to go into all that emotional stuff with you, and I'm going to bring you out before the end of the session. And it ends up being very beautiful. It's so scary to go into it. It, like, the thought of going into it's so scary, but then once you're in it and somebody's in it with you, it's actually so comfortable and heartwarming and connected and attuned. And really, that's why we disconnected ourselves from our feelings in the first place, because nobody was actually there attuning with us. And so to have somebody hold you through all of that emotional stuff, that's actually the most healing part. Gabor Mate says, trauma isn't the thing that happened to you. It isn't getting punched in the face. Trauma is that there was nobody there to talk to after you got punched in the face.
Yeah, the processing, how to learn how to deal with the emotions, how to properly regulate that, all of that.
No, but I mean, like, in the, like, you know, like, let's say you're a little kid and you got punched in the face and you come home and there's nobody to say, I got punched in the face. That's the trauma. The trauma is that nobody was there for you.
Okay.
And so, and the healing becomes somebody's there for you. And it starts as me, but then it becomes you. And that's what we're talking about with trusting yourself. You start to be that voice that you never got, that is attuning with you, that goes, it's okay, we can do this. It's okay if we feel these feelings. You don't have to be ashamed of the feelings that you have. And you become the one who holds that space.
Yeah.
I start there because you don't know how to do it. Maybe not you, but somebody. And then eventually you learn how to do it and you can do it for yourself and you don't need me anymore.
Heather, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And it will go out on Monday.
Okay.
And we'll have all the links and everything in the description.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jacqueline.
Hundhausen.com. Okay. No problem, Heather. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another You Are Loved podcast. Please make sure to check out all of the children's journals and books and stuff that we have. And I hope you all have an amazing day, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of You Are Loved. If you have any topic ideas or would like to be a guest on the show, please hit us up on Instagram at youareloved.store.